Okay everyone, to start off, if you have a much larger than needed erection for anything that has come out of a recording studio composed entirely of a computer's parts, then you will not want to watch or listen to this. You will not be happy. However, if you are one of the aforementioned hip-hop Viagra pill poppers but still enjoys a good joke, namely one that skewers everything you've known and loved about your favorite pop culture icons, then by all means continue watching. Next on the agenda, I'm going to tell you that I'm extremely biased and will mostly be showing you opinions, namely my own. They are mine and I am entitled to have them, and if you are not happy with them, then you can go fuck yourself because I don't give a shit. Thirdly, I'm highly offensive. For that I apologize. There's not much else I can go on about this, no clever and witty joke or analogy, so I'm leaving it at that. And I'm actually quite bored with this numbering business, so here we go, off of the introduction onto the featured presentation. I, like most of you, enjoy listening to music, some much more than others, and a frequent battle that occurs daily on my 45-minute bus ride to my local high school is the battle over music. Most people have a favorite genre, and they will battle to the death to see that shoes never get wet and it remains clean. Most of the arguments I've had over music completely shift from where I want them to go, mostly a civilized manner where one inserts an argument and is discussed. This style is completely abandoned immediately and it degrades into a hodgepodge of insults and verbal abuse as soon as I actually start making sense. Which, as it turns out, happens to be all the time. Anyway, I'm here to show you the facts, make you laugh, and tell a good story along the way, all the while submitting my opinions and showing you that my arguments are completely civil and actually are worth two flying shits. I guess I will start off with country because everyone hates it and will have you guys jumping on my bandwagon as soon as possible. Well, to tell you the truth, I don't hate country. Some of it is truly touching, tells a fairly sophisticated story, albeit as sophisticated as possible from a place where everyone is buck-toothed moron and likes to pass the time of milking the cows and fucking their sisters. Other times it is genuinely hilarious and I really enjoy it. Most people don't like it because of the accent or it's too slow. But to tell you the truth, I don't even hear enough country music for this review to even count, so by all means continue making your music. I won't be listening to it, but it does pass the time between fucking your sister and milking the cows, right? Techno is up next because it was the first genre to pop into my head when I read the last sentence in my country review back to myself. I'm not a fan of techno. I think it's because it is the brainchild of one very sweaty man in his mother's basement fiddling with the buttons and levers in Fruity Loops. Not to say that I don't like Fruity Loops, it's actually a really fun time and I've delved deeply into it, but of course not to make techno. That shit's for pussies. So techno really requires little to no skill besides being able to keep a rhythm and move buttons and blocks. Pretty much if you can play Pong, you can make techno, is the point I'm trying to make. And in case you guys were wondering, I'm not actually going in any specific order. I'm thinking about every genre, I'm writing what I think about one over the other, where I picked one in a subconscious game of eeny, meeny, miny, mo. And for those of you who have never typed out eeny, meeny, miny, mo, let me tell you, you hate yourself a little bit after. But I digress, and I do believe that it is straight up rock and roll starting to put its head down on the chopping block as I swing the axe and behead it in front of all the screaming masses. I'm not going to say I hate rock and roll. It's just too slow and easy. Nothing really stands out. It's the middle child of musical genres. You know, the one no one actually cares and everyone ignores it. It is, however, a fairly pretty middle child and has attracted a large gathering of raving followers, mostly those whose ears are too big of pussies to handle anything heavier and therefore better than what they're currently listening to. I'm also going to say that most rock and roll bands are in fact the same people. The next time I hear three, finger quotes, different bands playing a song that has the same general template, all of which are talking about how much they either love a girl or sad that they left him, I'm going to go off and destroy an orphanage and I'm going to like it. And about hard rock, that weird middle ground between the suburbia of rock and roll and the thriving, violent, highly advanced technology-fueled metropolitan that is metal in its subgenres. And now this is really awkward, because I actually went so far into the analogy I didn't know whether to end it with a comma and use a segue term like his and or but, or completely shut it off with a sentence with a period and start on new. I then chose my own third option. By that I pretty much stuck the square peg and jammed it screaming into the round hole. Hard rock isn't that bad. It's fairly difficult to play, and the people handling their instruments actually know what they're doing. I will listen to it, although begrudgingly. Rap, oh god. For those of you I mentioned immediately in this review, you know, the ones who are actually aroused when they hear someone talk about bitches and drugs, then you might want to wait until this mini review ends. No, really, go on. Come back in 30 seconds or so and you'll be fine. Okay, now that the average IQ of my audience has actually been raised by the removal of said Neanderthals, I can breathe a sigh of relief and then drive the final stake into rap's back. As my friend Tim Cotero once told me, rap is an acronym. You know those cool words that are made up of the first letter of the words and form something that is actually legible. Words like scuba and in sync are the first words that come to my mind that you would actually understand. Rap stands for retards attempting poetry, and for the most part it is correct. Most of it is just a half-naked man flashing off all his shiny rocks on chains made of other shiny rocks, or wrapped around his finger, while talking about bitches or money. This good music does not make. If you would please understand the idiocy of it all. The fact that someone can be so vain and deprived that the only way to satisfy themselves is to spend all their money on cars and shiny rocks instead of things that matter, like college. I would like to say, however, that old school rap, like old school hip-hop, actually has a point. I don't know what that point is because I don't listen to the new shit, so why would I listen to that shit's grandfather, who I believe would be more cynical and therefore older. And for hip-hop, I would please like to let everyone know that I see no difference between hip-hop and rap, the latter being just someone talking and the former featuring someone who attempts to sing. Now here's the question. Why is it that every rap and hip-hop artist has a song featuring someone else? Why aren't they well-known or at least good enough to make a song and standing on their own feet? Why are they permanently piggybacking off of the larger stars? Another nitpick I have about hip-hop is of its lyrical content, something I dwell on because I think it matters. An entire hip-hop song consists of nothing about one man showing off in front of other people and getting paid for it. My favorite song is the one where someone says, "I'm the biggest boss that you've seen thus far," and for 30 seconds afterwards he's joined by a chorus of fellow retarded people and singing boss, ba-boss, 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 ba-boss. He actually got paid for that shit, which is what owns me. One thing I would also like to tell you is that every single hip-hop song takes place in a club. Why are they always in a club? Why aren't they, working or getting an education? They're constantly wasting their money. Another thing I'm mused about while I was in the shower in between writing these reviews is that most people use hip-hop as a resource to get out of the ghetto. They don't go to school or anything, they just try to make it big with a song. I think it's because they didn't have enough money to pay for school because they spent all of it on cars and shiny rocks, to be like their idols, who sing hip-hop. So now that I've solved your economic problem, please stop being retarded. And now I'm off the hip-hop and rap retarded boat and onto jazz, another genre that I never really knew much about. I do know that most of it is improvised and that every jazz drummer is really fucking awesome, so I appreciate it, though I don't like it. I guess pop deserves its own review, though it's mostly the same as hip-hop and rap. It's retarded and I don't want to waste my own time with it. Feel free to waste yours and listen to the hit song I Kissed a Girl, you lesbo-erotic family. Now that I feel like I've touched upon all the major genres, or at least the ones that matter, and with that, I'm moving on to my personal favorite, heavy metal. Oh god, you say, now we get to watch as Ian Colshaw gets to laugh in our faces and exalt everything about metal before he bends over and gives it a blowjob. To tell you the truth, that isn't exactly the case, but I guess I should get up off my knees, shouldn't I? Heavy metal is the oldest child. Rap and hip-hop sharing the spot as the youngest and therefore the most retarded. Rock in the middle because no one really pays attention to it. It happens to be the oldest child because it doesn't receive as much love from its parents as the other two, and doesn't have as much of a following. However, its motor skills are much more adept and its skill is therefore greater. Let me give you an example. Turn on Guitar Hero and scroll all the way down to the final set list in career mode. You will notice that on Expert, these are really fucking difficult unless you're good at the game. You may also notice in Guitar Hero 3 especially, that every song in the set list is metal. Do you know why? Because metal is fucking hard to play. You will then look at me and say, well yes, metal bands are maybe good at their instruments, and better than every band under the sun, but it doesn't make their music good. True, it doesn't, because it's an opinion. But what are you more impressed by? The intense chord progressions to finger-tapping mini-solo of the song Sequoia Throne by Protest the Hero, or the total of 7 different chords used in the song My Name is Jonas by Weezer? But, you say, feeling as if you're about to end the argument with something clever, they're screaming all the time. It sounds horrible. No, I respond, it makes it sound fucking epic, and I think you need to stop being a pussy and appreciate how really fucking hard it is to scream for a metal band. If you so wish, please download the song Giles by a metalcore band on Earth. Listen to it. Try to replicate his harsh vocals through the entire song, loudly. You may now notice that this is really fucking hard to do and it hurts your throat a lot. Now imagine doing that at a concert for an hour straight. Pussy. Not only that, but many metal bands are devoid of harsh vocals from their songs entirely, bands like Metallica and Iron Maiden. Yes, I agree with you, they're barely metal anymore, but still. I once again bring your attention to another current metalcore band. By the way, if none of you were smart enough to pick up on this, it's my favorite genre, thank you very much, All That Remain. Not only do their instrumental parts make the Counting Crows and bands look like monkeys with Down syndrome playing with a ukulele with 3 broken strings and another made of a rubber band, but they also have some of the most beautiful, clean vocals I've ever heard. Yes, that's right. I called singing beautiful. If you have a problem with that, please climb on top of your roof and do a swan dive off, you fucking prick. I will agree with you, however, that sometimes metal sounds like ass and it isn't good. That is, to me, the death metal genre. The genre everyone confuses with any sort of metal when they don't actually listen to metal. It mostly sounds like ass because the guitars are moving so quickly it sounds like mud over a drummer is moving so quickly it sounds like mush. Essentially, death metal is a smoothie shoved down your ear. I don't listen to metal for that exact reason. But wait, you say, now grasping at straws because all of your previous arguments have failed utterly. Why do they have to be going nuts all the time? Why can't they just chill out? Because, idiot, once you get that good at your instrument, why wouldn't you constantly go nuts with it? It sounds wonderful, and people look up at you and strive to be that good. If someone looks at the guitars from Breaking Benjamin as the epitome of great, then show them a video of Willie Adler playing some riffs and no cream his pants. Not only that, but playing something that makes other people who appreciate music for its technicality and speed get a large veiny erections is really fun. Playing something with an instrument others can dream of playing is one of the best parts of actually playing that instrument. Sure, you may have a better chance of picking up women on the beach by playing Hey There Delilah than, say, Another Nail for Your Coffin by Lamb of God, but these women are easily wooed by easy chord progressions and a pretty voice instead of ridiculous guitar and vocals that mean more than, I love you and I want to be with you all the time, oh my god, I can't live without you, blah 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 blah. If they wanted that, they could always watch a really cheap soap opera, or Romeo and Juliet. Now, all of you, run along before I'm forced to break all of your other favorite pop culture items over my knee with a sickening crack, and then mail the bloody remains to you in an envelope with "You cunts deserved it" written on it in Sharpie marker.